loss that they've been through and some of the other anxieties. Like once that threshold had been met, and now we talked about alcohol lowering that threshold, and all of a sudden these people are sobbing at the party, like crying at the party, and you're like, come on, what are you doing? But it lowers that threshold where all of a sudden they feel comfortable releasing their emotions.
Right.
And
like
once
they feel
it
like they're
starts,
in a safe space.
yeah, that floodgate is open, and then you can't stop the water, from coming out. And so that's happens often where somebody feels safe, let's say at the collegiate recovery community, like Ashley was talking about, or in any peer setting. You start hanging around people who have been through similar experiences. You don't need the alcohol to get you there because the person right next to you is sharing about something that's pretty deep and heartfelt.
You probably don't, I don't know, Ashley, if you felt like this, but you don't feel like it's like a burden on anybody else for talking.
No, definitely not. I think, honestly, since I've joined this community, it's made me realize that there's people that have gone through very similar things to me. There's people that are recovering in the same way that I am, and it's helpful, and it just really has been helpful to know that there's people out there that have been through things such as...
Yeah, and that sounds pretty simple, because I've heard that all my life, where they say you're not alone, and you kind of brush it off like, all right, whatever. But when you actually, in your specific scenario, hear someone relate pretty identically to what you said, then things change, I believe. But when people just tell you up front, like, oh, you're not alone, you're like, I don't know what you're saying. I get it, but
it's not the same.
You take that as just, because it's so general, you take that as, well, you're not the only one sad. It's like, I know that. That's not my... But when you really get into the specific problem, like you're saying, and someone's similar, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It makes you feel a lot better, I would imagine. But anyways, that wraps up another episode of Mental Fitness. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next Friday at 12 o'clock for another episode. Stay tuned for more 107.7 The Bronx. Thank you for watching.
Put those dumbbells away. That concludes another episode of Mental Fitness, underwritten by the Lawrence Alcohol and Drug Alliance. If you want another training session, go to 1077thebronx.com/mentalfitness to listen to our previous episodes and continue to train your brain. Now let's get back to something else that can help your mental health. Listening to the biggest hits and the best variety on 1077 The Bronx.
1077 The Bronx, 1077thebronx.com. Winner of 3 2026 Intercollegiate Broadcasting Systems Media Awards, Best On-Air Pledge Drive for our first ever Radiothon, Best Giveaway for Wake Up Riders Morning Bagel Run and Jewelry Spree, and Best Station Poster by Jake Goebel for Scream Screen. This is your journey across the sports world. My name is Joshua Uhas. Now, we are going to talk about in this episode a little bit about a tiny game just called the Olympic Gold Medal Game for men's hockey, as well as we'll talk some MLB and World Baseball Classic a little bit, and then whatever time I leave myself at the end will be with the NBA, whatever I have left. But let's start. Let's start with looking through the runs to the gold medal game, and then I'll share my reaction to it. Let me just pull it up. But ended up being USA taking on Canada. In the women's side, it ended up being the same situation. So it was the United States versus the Canadian team, and the women's side were able to pull out that one. That was yesterday, I want to say. Or 2 days ago, rather, I think. No? Why is it not pulling up right? Anyways, but the women's ended up beating Canada in their gold medal game against Canada. Keller had a big goal at the end of that as well. And the United States in this one, it was always going to be a tight game between these two sides. Why is it not pulling up? But hold up here. But the United States did a really good job. I guess I'm already too far. I'll just talk about the game itself. But it was a really strong game. There were parts where the U.S. had momentum. There were parts where Canada had all the momentum. I was a little worried for certain parts of the game. And Bennington, once again, was really strong. But for the United States, last time Hellebuck wasn't the greatest in that kind of run, and Binnington and him actually faced off in the NHL playoffs. So that's like 3 premier matchups between them within the last couple months. So when you look at the game, okay, I guess I've never seen how they formatted on here. That's pretty cool. But the goalkeepers, Connor Hellebuck facing off against Jordan Binnington, as mentioned. They're both really good on the international level of play. When looking at their resumes over the last couple of years, especially because of the Four Nations tournament that was given to us, which was great instead of the All-Star game. We got to see the U.S. versus Canada. And that one, Canada came out on top. This time, different story. But Matt Boldy was the one who started it on equal strength. And it was a really impressive goal because when he was lifting the puck into the zone, he ended up knocking it up a little bit with his stick again while it was in the air. So he was able to weave through 2 defenders, break through, and then it's a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And it's ended up being Matt Boldy's score. And then the scoring kind of stopped. And in that second period, there were 2 penalties in a row that put the U.S. into a 1 versus 3. And they were able to survive the first penalty and even the second one. So a really good job by the U.S.'s penalty kill unit. Their defense, like even looking at the Four Nations, their defense was really strong. Just sometimes against Canada specifically, their defense would break a little bit and Canada would be able to break through. So they would be able to fight through everything that the U.S. was throwing at them at times. But when going back to this game, it's amazing they even got through it because Gensel got his penalty early in that second period, and then McAvoy got it just a couple seconds after. So it was like a very bad momentum swing, which is where I was worried because Canada has one of the best power play units that you could put together. And even though Crosby is injured and was out for this, their power play unit was incredible because the young Macklin Celebrini of the Sharks, just an incredible young talent, what he's able to do. His ability to break through, his ability to score and pass, just is really beneficial for the Canadian team. And he was kind of dominating for Canada in this tournament. And you put him alongside Connor McDavid, who is incredibly fast. And they were even talking about on the broadcast, because the ice is a little bit smaller than the traditional NHL rinks. It made them seem way faster on the ice. And Connor McDavid is one of the fastest in the NHL. And he was able to use that speed to his advantage. But it worked against him as well, because later in the game, he had a breakaway, a one-on-one, but he was too fast. By the time he looked up, he was already at the goalie, at Hellebuck's pads, and he was unable to even get a shot up. But also it was a good recovery from the United States defense, which, I mean, they were incredible. The Canadian defense is also incredible. I do have to say that. There's a reason why it's one of the best matchups we see in the last couple of years, and why it has such a big pull, and why there's such a big rivalry between the U.S. and Canada. You're able to take 2 of the most prominent hockey nations and just put them against each other. And yes, Sweden is a great nation at hockey. Finland, who was the last Olympic champion, they're also very prominent in the hockey world. But in the recent years, it's U.S. and Canada fighting it out over the last 2 to 3 years. And it's just a blast to watch, because they both don't like each other. And unfortunately, with the Olympics, you're not allowed to fight. if you fight, you get ejected from the game, which kind of sucks low key. But when you, I mean, I get it. The Olympics wants to have a certain view, and it didn't hinder the play. It didn't hinder the play. I think it would have been fun, but then again, the Olympics saw the four nations, and it's like, you don't want them fighting every 2 seconds. And the players, I will say, did a good job. They stayed disciplined. I think the only ejection for fighting in this tournament was when just ejection in general, was Tom Wilson of Canada. But I think that was the only one. And it just shows the level of play that there is in the NHL, and to be able to put best on best. And granted, Russia can't compete, and Russia is always a prominent figure in international hockey, but they've been barred by the Olympic committees from competing. But it's still best on best, even if you can't get Russia in there. US and Canada matching up, and at that point, where we'll go back to where I was in the second period. So the U.S. holding a 1-0 lead, they get through that power play, but the attack doesn't stop for Canada. They just keep on challenging. And Hellebuck did a good job of holding on, but eventually they were going to fall. They were going to bite to the pressure, and Cale Makar, one of the best defensemen in the NHL, is able to break through and get that score. And that one hurt, but it felt inevitable because of all the pressure they were putting up. Celebrini, I don't know if it was this period or the third period, but he was putting a lot of pressure onto the U.S. defense, and even late in that game at the end was putting incredible pressure on the U.S. defense. And, I mean, his addition to that first unit was really, really seen across this whole tournament, but specifically with the tournament, the Olympic tournament, which is impressive because some people are able to step up to the moment, and international play is a completely different monster than, say, even if you had playoff experience, it's a completely different story. And we see some of the best players in the NHL struggle in the Olympics. I mean, look at Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor for the U.S., he could not find his role on the team. And that's one of the things when you grab a best of best team or one of those super stacked teams where you grab everyone, is you may have them, but you have to make them mesh in their roles. And that's why best on best isn't, it requires a good coach as well, because it's very easy to have the talent and not be able to succeed. I mean, if you look at the U.S. men's national team for soccer, they were a mess under Berhalter, and they have some talented guys there, but they just weren't really living up to that potential. And we'll see if they're able to live it up with the new coach in the World Cup. But when we move back to hockey, Mike Sullivan deserves credit for what he's done with this team. It is one of the better teams that the U.S. has put together, and the fact that they were able to add Quinn Hughes, because he was hurt when the Four Nations was going, so he wasn't able to play in that one. But you're able to get Quinn Hughes into this team, and he was that catalyst that the U.S. needed. The Hughes brothers were really good across this whole tournament. Let me see if I can find what they did in the tournament, but just really, both of them, both Quinn and Jack, really good tournaments as a whole, and Quinn was able to hold that defense together very well. Not that the U.S. defense wasn't good already, but you always love to add someone that moves it to the next level, takes it one step above where you were before, and that's what Quinn Hughes did for the U.S. But we move forward. A 4-minute penalty for Canada, but unfortunately the U.S. was not able to get one past Bennington, and it ended up going to overtime, where not too long into the game, not too long into overtime, which isn't shocking with how the two teams were going back and forth. You take two skaters off the ice, someone was gonna score very quickly, and the U.S. was looking for their first gold medal in the Olympics since they had the Miracle on Ice, and they were looking for someone to be that hero. And for Canada, they were trying to essentially defend the international, best team, essentially, because they won the Four Nations, so they were in essence the international defending champion in my mind, because sure, Finland was the last Olympic champion, but that was a while ago. And these teams are completely different when you go across their rosters, their styles. They're a very different team. And I thought that... I don't know where my line of thought was going. I just lost my train of thought. But anyways, we'll jump back to overtime. I completely lost my train of thought, but I was incredibly happy with how the U.S. were able to fight through. Fight through everything. I thought that when it went to that 5-on-3, I was sure Canada was gonna score. I was as confident as could be that Canada was going to score, and I hated that I was confident it was going to happen. But when you have that first unit that they have, it's almost impossible to think that they wouldn't score, and somehow, some way, able to hold on, and that is part of Hellebuck. There was some luck, but also Hellebuck was completely locked in the whole game, and credit to him for rebounding after the Four Nations to be able to get revenge against Bennington and able to take Canada down. But when it was all said and done, the 3-on-3, Zach Werenski was able to... I forget it. The puck ended up loose. Canada and one of the Canadian players and Werenski were going to the puck. It was on the right side around the face-off circle, I think. And Werenski's able to get possession of the puck. The U.S. had numbers. Werenski passes it cross ice to Jack Hughes, coming in, snipes it into the net, and the United States won the gold medal for the first time since the Miracle on Ice. And, I mean, as a Devils fan, it's fun to see Jack Hughes do it, but just as a fan of U.S. international competition, it makes me feel great that I was able to be alive and see the United States take an Olympic medal in hockey. And hopefully, when we get into our next segment, hopefully the World Baseball Classic team is also able to pull that off. But we have to go into some underwriting announcements. So mark your calendars. 1077 The Bronx Excellent Egg Hunt is on its way. Join us on the Campus Mall on Tuesday, March 31st at 11 a.m. to experience the event the Bronx won Best Giveaway for at the 2025 IBS Media Awards. Don't forget, there are 10,000 eggs, 20,000 pieces of candy, and a chance to win so many cool prizes, including our biggest and most iconic prize, a 3 or 4 night Royal Caribbean cruise for 2 to the Bahamas, provided by Josh Harry Travel. For more details, including a list of other activities and bites to eat, go to 1077thebronx.com/egghunt. We'll be back with more of your journey across the sports world after these underwriting announcements on the Princeton Review's number 18 ranked best college radio station, 1077 The Bronx.
Okay, it looks like we've landed on what the Earthlings call a college campus.
The mothership gave us voice changers. Turn yours on.
Excellent. Now we blend in with the humans. We just need clothing to become undetectable.
Our frequency spike was strongest near 1077. The humans kept saying 1077 the Bronx. Something about their general store where they get the coolest merch in the game and support the music and shows they love.
I don't quite know what that means. Try beaming over a cellular communication device the humans are so attracted to. There you can search for this fabled The Bronx General Store at 1077thebronx.com/shop-the-Bronx.
Great Xanthaleer. Look at all they have to offer. Polos, hats, sweatshirts, drinking receptacles, shirts. So many colors, too. They even have tie-dye.
There are eco-friendly options. How noble of them. Order 2 of everything. We must support the Bronx. We'll be the talk of the galaxy with how fresh we look, as the humans say.
I wish we found 1077 the Bronx General Store 1,847 conquering quests ago. We would have looked so good.
Eggs. You like them, you love them, unless they make you fart, in which case you probably eat them anyway. They're a great source of protein, a breakfast staple, and an indicator on if the economy is good or not. But on March 31st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., eggs will have an entirely new meaning. It's 1077 The Bronx Excellent Egg Hunt. The winner of an Intercollegiate Broadcasting Systems Media Award for Best Station giveaway is back again. The Excellent Egg Hunt is an event that'll have you hopping with joy. With 10,000 eggs, 20,000 pieces of candy, and over $30,000 in prizes, the Excellent Egg Hunt has something for everyone. With food from some of the best food trucks in New Jersey, games, a petting zoo, prizes, and much, much more. Our grand prize winner will receive a 3 or 4 night Royal Caribbean cruise to the Bahamas, courtesy of Josh Harry Travel, with other prizes including a 1.77 carat diamond pendant for Peroni's Hidden Treasures, hairstyling systems, and more. Want to learn more? Go to 1077thebronx.com/egg hunt, and we'll see you there. Because if you don't go, I'm about to win that cruise, and I don't know.
Ever wonder where 1077 The Bronx can take you? On Alumni in Action, Owen McCarron and Owen Nelson sit down with Rider graduates who've turned their college experience into something bigger. Leaders in media, content creators, industry changemakers. We talk about the moments at 1077 The Bronx that shaped them, the risks they took in their careers, and what they learned back then that made them the media professionals they are today. These are honest, inspiring conversations with people who once spoke in the same mics you do today. From Cranberries to Kroner, Rider Rock to the commencement stage, there's a new episode the first Sunday of every month with encore episodes weekly at 8 a.m. Or watch the videos on our website at 1077thebronx.com/alumni in action. Tune in to hear how Rider alumni are making their mark with new episodes every Sunday at 8 a.m. One story at a time. This is Alumni in Action.
Once upon a time, a narrator was compelled to introduce a one-of-a-kind pet health show specifically designed for you. Every Saturday at 10 a.m., catch up on Monday too, 1077 The Bronx brings your pet matters into view. We have Dr. Tequiwa with plenty of pet tips to spare, made for pet owners just like you from Progressive Veterinary Care. Tune in to Your Pet Matters on Saturday at 10 when it airs. Dr. T and his team of experts are always ready to share, keeping your pets happy and healthy like we know you always do. Your Pet Matters on 1077 The Bronx has got you. Your Pet Matters is underwritten by Progressive Veterinary Care, located at 390 County Road in Skillman, New Jersey.
Traffic and weather and unfair trivia on Wake Up Rider is underwritten by Advance Auto Parts. Right around the corner and ready to help. Hey Lawrenceville drivers, Advance Auto Parts just rolled into your neighborhood at 2520 Brunswick Pike, and they are here to advance your auto care. Need quality parts and accessories? Advance has your favorite brands for your car, truck, and motorcycle. Their expert team members are here to help you find everything you need. Oil, brakes, wipers, batteries, and more. And here's the best part. If you buy your battery or wipers at Advance, they will install them for free. That's right, free installation. Expert advice and thousands of products under one roof. One-stop shopping, thousands of products and expert help that gets you back on the road in no time. Exclusively at Advance Auto Parts. Now at 2520 Brunswick Pike in Lawrenceville. This is how we advance.
This is how we advance.
Sharpen your pencils and tune up those thinking caps, because Pod Save the Teachers is back with fresh episodes every fourth Saturday of the month, only on 1077 The Bronx. We're bringing you the hottest classroom convos with our host, Dr. Mark Piercy, student spotlights, and educational info you can't get anywhere else. And that's not all with our educational radio show and podcast. Also featured every second Saturday of every month is the brand new Pod Save the Teachers game show hosted by Nick Harrison that'll put your brain to the test.
Got what it takes to beat an education major? Try your luck with Are You Smarter Than an Education Major? Need a lightning round? We've got teaching in short, quick hits of insight in record time. And who doesn't love deals? Check out back-to-school shopping for laughs, tips, and those must-have supplies.
So mark your calendars. It's fun, it's educational, but not that kind of school drill. You can listen live to past episodes at 1077thebronx.com/podsavetheteachers and catch it all on your favorite podcasting platforms. Stay tuned, stay curious, and listen to Pod Save the Teachers and play along with the Pod Save the Teachers game show at 8 a.m. only on 1077 The Bronx.
1077 The Bronx has very exciting news. Our new video stream is officially live, as you can see on YouTube and Facebook right now. Now you can listen to The Bronx on air, online, and on app. Now watch your favorite student shows live on The Bronx YouTube channel and Facebook at 1077 The Bronx, including Bronx After Hours, Tri-State Sports Ramble, High Stakes, the one you're listening to now, The Journey Across the Sports World, and Cliff Notes. Coming soon, Wake Up Riders starts streaming on Monday. That's tomorrow, February 23rd. Keep tuned into the Bronx to listen to and also watch your favorite student shows now and in the future. Welcome back to your journey across the sports world on your 5-time National Association of Broadcasters Marconi Radio Award-nominated station, 1077 The Bronx. So we talked a bit of the Olympic hockey and the United States winning the gold medal off the game-winning overtime goal, the golden goal from Jack Hughes to give the United States their first Olympic gold medal since the Miracle on Ice. So we move forward. We remain in international action, and we will look at the World Baseball Classic and the MLB because we have spring training. We are back. We are back to having international baseball. We have spring training baseball. That's exactly what I love to see, and that makes me so happy. Where am I? Why is that? Whatever. I'll figure that out. Oh, that's why. Okay. Anyways. But when we look at... What? Where am I? I'm so lost. What is going on that? Whatever. But the World Baseball Classic, we have a lot going on in the World Baseball Classic world. And when we look at the United States, they have a stacked roster to work with. And when I look at the outfield, you have a ton of talent. We'll go down to the outfield first. You have Judge, you have PCA, you have Buxton, you have Roman Anthony. Roman Anthony will be more of that back end guy in the team's build, but Buxton, assuming he stays healthy throughout, he'll be good. Pete Armstrong was good. Was strong for a good part of the season, had some struggles as well. But then when you go to the infield, you have Alex Bregman, Ernie Clement, who was really good in the postseason. You have Paul Goldschmidt. He'll be a bench guy against lefties. That's how I'd understand his role will be. You have Harper. Harper will play first. Bryce Terang will play second. Bobby Witt will play short, and Gunnar Henderson will play third. I think. I don't know. But stacked roster, and Cal Raleigh at catcher. Will Smith will back him up. But when you look at that just from the lineup standpoint, Cal Raleigh second in MVP. Will Smith, always one of the best catchers. You look at Bregman, he's really good. Ernie Clement, we talked about going in that World Series run. Goldschmidt was good against lefties. He was really good against lefties this year, but when you look at against righties, he wasn't the greatest in terms of that, but he was fine. Like, he was serviceable for the Yankees. And then when you look at Harper, he's one of the best, and he's become like a Gold Glove level first baseman. So what he's been able to do to shift to the infield is really impressive. But when you go to Gunnar Henderson, even he was fine. He's a good player. And when you look at Bryce Terang, he was really good this year. I'm curious to see how he does in international play. I think he'll be good in international play, but, you know, he's one of those guys we haven't seen at that level. Bobby Witt, we also haven't seen in that world. Granted, he was on the U.S. team when they went to the final and lost to Japan, which almost, it could be kind of poetic in a way with, and kind of ironic, where parallels the hockey situation, where the U.S. gets to the final of the Four Nations. They face off against Canada, one of the other biggest hockey nations in the world. And they end up losing to them in the first bout. Then, I mean, granted, this one's like a year or two after, so it's a little closer of a timeline, but still. Then we go to the Olympics. We just talked about the United States took down Canada. They were able to get their revenge and win on the biggest stage. Now, the World Baseball Classic is a little different, but I think it kind of has that same narrative to it when you look at the fact that the U.S. in the last World Baseball Classic fought tooth and nail with Japan in that final, and they end up falling short. But there is a chance in this World Baseball Classic, with the stacked roster that the United States has put together, one of their best, and we'll talk about their pitching rate after. That thought just came to my mind. But when you look at the United States, they have one of their best rosters they've ever put together. Like, from top to bottom, pitching to hitting, just one of the best teams they could put together, and a good job by Mark DeRosa to convince more players, some of the top end, especially the pitching, to convince the top end pitchers after some of their best seasons to come and play internationally after their struggles last year to get people to pitch for them, because we were throwing Brady Singer out there and Kyle Freeland, which, don't get me wrong, Freeland had like a good season, but like had a good season before in his past, but it wasn't that recent when he got picked. He wasn't doing very great in Colorado, although the name fit very well, being Freeland, almost as like Freeland, and he's representing the United States. But other than that, his actual pitching is just not fit for the World Baseball Classic, and he ended up having to start some games. We had Adam Wainwright at his old age was pitching in the World Baseball Classic for us. You had, who else was it? I can't remember, but we had, if you go to our bullpen even, we had Aaron Loop, who's not like the greatest reliever. You had Daniel Bard, who ended up having yips, and that ended up not working out. But the pitching was not as good as it could be, and this year they really ramped it up. But back to the narrative thing, the United States have a chance in this World Baseball Classic if they get back to the championship with this stacked roster, and assuming Japan makes it through as well, you would see a rematch where it's the same thing, where the United States falls to a major rival who is the other titan of that sport internationally. I mean, Japan is as big into baseball as you could possibly be internationally. And granted, either team could get upset at any point. We saw Venezuela almost take out the U.S. We saw Mexico almost take out Japan. But assuming both teams make it back again, like what happened with hockey where Canada and the United States were able to fight through and get to the final, we could see the same narrative where the United States is able to get that revenge, have that comeback where they're, after losing the first time, you're able to get back at them. Now, the World Baseball Classic is way different than that in the sense that it's been 3 years since the last one went down for the World Baseball Classic, and it's had some longer stretches in its history, but the hockey side, it was only about a year and a half difference between when the Four Nations went down at the All-Star break to the Olympics in Italy. And I think there's a chance for that narrative, but it's not the same level. But we're going to look past that. We're going to look at the roster, and we talked about the hitting side a little bit. That's insane, but the pitching at the top end and even in the bullpen as well is really strong. Like, it's incredible they were able to convince I'm going to start with the first two. The fact they were able to convince both of them to do it just amazed me, and that is the two reigning Cy Youngs in Tarek Skubal for the AL for the Tigers. They were able to convince him to join the United States. That was a little bit later, but the first one announced as a pitcher for the United States was Paul Skeens, and he was the NL Cy Young winner. So you have when you look through this whole team, just at that alone, you have the AL MVP runner-up in Cal Raleigh. You have the AL MVP in Aaron Judge. You have the NL MVP runner-up in Kyle Schwarber. You have, back to the pitching side, you have the reigning AL Cy Young winner. You have the reigning NL Cy Young winner. And there's a bunch of talent behind them in that rotation as well. You have Logan Webb, who's always been one of the most consistently good pitchers in the league, but he is in San Francisco with the Giants, so he kind of gets overlooked. But one of the better pitchers in the league, Joe Ryan, another really good pitcher, pitching for him. He's pitching for the Minnesota Twins. You have Nolan McLean, who we'll see what his role is. It's always interesting where those back end starters end up working into it. Like Michael Wacha's on this team. Nolan McLean, as mentioned, he's on this team. Clayton Kershaw, also on the team. We'll see how their roles end up getting used. They can be used as long relievers or fill-in starts if they think a game, especially in the group stages, if they want to work it around. It does give them flexibility. And plus, if someone gets hurt, which hopefully not for anyone in the tournament, but it could be very different. And you look at the bullpen as well. There were some good additions to the bullpen. We'll start with some of the not top name guys, but still solid. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention also Clay Holmes, which my guess is on this team, he's going to move back to that closer, not the closer spot, but that reliever kind of role because he has experience in it. So I think it's going to be easier to transition him back to the bullpen rather than convert someone who's been starting their whole career at the top level and then making him do relief in the World Baseball Classic, because also just the health of the arms, moving people back and forth and all around. their body's used to one set, so they're used to starting. It can be kind of difficult to switch the mindset and also have the body follow along with the fact that you're switching to just one inning of work where you're kind of maximizing the potential on your pitches. You're going more all out versus when you're doing a start, you're not throwing 100% because you know you need that energy for the rest of the pitches you're going to throw throughout that game. And you always assume and hope that you're going to pitch long, and you prepare for pitching long into a game, and then you adapt as you go on. But I think there's some good potential here. Garrett Whitlock should be pretty solid, and he can go multiple innings if need be. He does have that ability because he has starting experience, but it's not as recent. He's switched to a reliever for the last couple of years. You got Gabe Spire, one of the better lefty relievers this season. You have Garrett Clevenger, who's a solid lefty reliever, and really when you have these arms, you're just trying to work the matchups, so it'll work in his favor. Matthew Boyd, I really don't know what his role is going to be. I really don't know where his role is going to be, to be honest. Him and Kershaw, and Waka, really, I don't really know. I feel like McLean might get some more usage. I think he has some good potential to play a part. But you look at back to more of the top-end relievers in this bullpen. Brad Keller had a really good season with the Cubs, and he gets his spot. He signed with the Phillies this offseason. You have Griffin Jacks, who was traded to Tampa Bay, but when he's on, he's a really good reliever. You have Bednar, was able to, when he got moved to the Yankees, was able to take up that closer spot and really settle down the Yankees, who were struggling to close games. While it did start out a little bit sketchy, he was able to really fit into that role. And the final one they were able to that I'm going to mention that they were able to convince was Mason Miller. And his fastball is incredible. He's got high velo, and he's got a good moving slider to work with it. And he can go long as well. There's been talk and everything and rumors that he could extend into a starter. So that's always going to be an interesting dynamic to follow. But just a really stacked team. And I think if there was any year for the United States to have a chance to win the World Baseball Classic for the first time in a while, what was the year? Let me see. I don't remember the year exactly. Since it would be their first time since 2017. That was when they beat Puerto Rico, and it'd be their first time in a while. Granted, it's only like 1 or 2 World Baseball Classics away, but still, it means a lot to be able to take that win, and we'll see if they're able to do what I think they can do in the World Baseball Classic. I think they have high potential, but you got to be careful because there are some strong nations out there. But we have to go to underwriting announcements. So if you build it, our Rider Bronx will devour it. Introducing the contest that will cement your legacy at Rider University forever. Announcing 1077 The Bronx first ever Build the Ultimate Bronkwich competition. Be the Bronc who creates Rider's new signature sandwich to be served at Muller's Pub and the Yoka's Yellow Food Trailer, and we'll send you and a guest on a Royal Caribbean for 2 to the Bahamas from Josh Harry Travel. However you slice it, this contest eats. This contest eats, Bronx. Go to 1077thebronc.com/buildabronkwich for complete details and how you can enter to win. We'll be back with more of your journey across the sports world after these underwriting announcements on your 3-time 2026 IBS Media Award winner, 1077 The Bronc. There we go. 1077 The Bronc.
Wake Up Rider on 107.7 The Bronx needs you to tell mother, father, whoever to tune in. Be good to yourself and make sure you're listening to Wake Up Rider at approximately 8:05, 9:05, and 9:55 because you don't want to miss the Journey Word of the Day.
Ooh, the wheel in the sky keeps on turning. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow.
Now you may be asking yourself, why would I care about the Journey Word of the Day? Because at 10 a.m. every day this week, a post will be made on Wake Up Rider's Instagram, and you'll want to be the first to comment the word of the day, because whoever mentions the word first will be receiving a pair of tickets to see Journey's farewell tour live at the Cure Insurance Arena on Thursday, March 5th. You could accept these tickets with open arms or any way you want it. All we ask is that you don't stop believing that you can be seeing Journey live.
Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling.
Beware of the invisible intruder, naturally occurring radon gas. This sneaky threat could be hiding in your home right now, undetected. It's invisible, odorless, tasteless, and the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States, claiming up to 21,000 lives each year. Could you be at risk? Radon might be creeping into your home through cracks, gaps around pipes, sump pits, or even your well water. Prolonged exposure can significantly increase your risk of lung cancer. Act now, don't wait. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's Radon section has your back. We provide free resources and expert advice to keep your home radon-free. Visit radon.nj.gov for details on testing and radon mitigation solutions. Safeguard your family. Tackle potential radon exposure now. radon.nj.gov. Proudly sponsored by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection.
Mental Fitness on 107.7 The Bronx is underwritten in part by LADA, the Lawrence Alcohol and Drug Alliance. Help your local community thrive drug and alcohol-free with LADA, a nonprofit organization designed to educate, aid, and bring awareness to prevent the use of dangerous substances. Whether it's your children, a friend, a loved one, or a neighbor, LADA has qualified leaders to help anyone and everyone feel like themselves. LADA's mission provides you and all of your community members with the necessary resources, training, and education through a variety of programs to prevent the misuse of drugs and alcohol in the town we proudly call home. The Lawrenceville Drug and Alcohol Alliance also provides peer leadership groups for both Lawrence High School and Rider University students, and hosts community events for area residents to enjoy and learn more about the negative impacts drugs and alcohol can have on you and your well-being. For more information on how you can get involved, LADA's mission statement, their many resources, and a calendar of events and meetings, visit lawrencetwp.com/alcohol drug alliance.
This past October, our 107.7 The Bronx exec staff got glammed up and took a trip to the Edison Ballroom in New York City for one of radio's biggest nights, the National Association of Broadcasters Marconi Radio Awards. Because once again, we were nominated for College Radio Station of the Year. 107.7 The Bronx has been nominated 5 times in the past 6 years for the most prestigious award in college radio. And this year, in 2025, we proudly represented Rider University on the national stage once again. Sure, we didn't take home the trophy this time. Whoa, calm down. Being recognized among the best college stations in the country, that's a win in our book. From our amazing student broadcasters to our incredible listeners, we couldn't have done it without you. So here's to more shows, more memories, and maybe that Marconi next year.
The Bronx Lunchbox on 107.7 The Bronx and other programming on 107.7 The Bronx Retro is underwritten by PJ's Pancake House. The love for breakfast is growing, and so is PJ's Pancake House. Now with 6 locations and counting, PJ's offers the finest assortment of breakfast foods, such as, well, pancakes, topped with any topping your heart desires. Also, platters of fluffy eggs, delectable French toast, savory omelets, and other breakfast platters. PJ's is the perfect way to jumpstart your day. Beat the rooster and head on over to PJ's for a warm breakfast.
You do realize they serve more than just breakfast, right?
Wait, they do?
Yes they do.
PJ's also has a great deal of lunch and brunch options available 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day. From cheeseburgers and sandwiches to salads, pastas, and so much more. Whether you go to PJ's to start your day or to end it, this Pancake House delivers great food with impeccable presentation for an unforgettable breakfast, lunch, or brunch experience. For menu options online and to learn more about their many locations, with a few more on the way, it's pancakes.com. Yep, you heard that right, pancakes.com.
There is so much happening this spring at 107.7 The Bronx. Let me get this up. There we go. There's so much happening this spring at 107.7 The Bronx, which means there's a lot of behind-the-scenes content to be seen. Funny reels, station highlights, sponsored trips, and exclusive moments are just a few of the reasons why you should engage with The Bronx on social media. Keep up with The Bronx. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at 107.7 The Bronx, on TikTok at 107.7 The Bronx WRRC, and even on Facebook at 107.7 The Bronx to see what we're up to on and off the air. Welcome back to your journey across the sports world on your 5-time NAB Marconi Award-nominated state college radio station, 107.7 The Bronx. So we have a couple minutes, not too much. I don't end up leaving myself a ton of time, but we'll talk a little bit of the NBA. And currently there are games going on. That actually caught me by surprise. I did not look at the NBA slate today. But so far, I mean, Thunder beat the Cavs. It's cool. Nuggets and Warriors. That's really tight. Hornets, they've done a good job of moving themselves into the play-in. Let me pull up the standings. Let's see. There it is. So, actually, we'll just look at this. We'll just look through the standings. But when we look at the Pistons, they're still really good on a 5-game win streak, 8-2 in their last 10, sitting at 42-13 in a commanding kind of lead at the top of the Eastern Conference with a 6-game lead over the Celtics, a 7-game lead over the third-place Knicks. The Celtics, without Jason Tatum, it doesn't surprise me. They're doing really good. They're doing a good job out there in Boston, which is kind of annoying for me, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll see if the Knicks can put themselves back in that spot. They'll be fighting those 2 to 3 teams. The Celtics, Knicks, and Cavs are going to be fighting once again for seeding till the end of the season. But looking at the Celtics in their last couple games, they're also 8-2 in their last 10. And when you look at the Knicks, they're 7-3 in their last 10. They sit at 36-21. The Celtics 36-19. Right behind them is the Cavaliers. They are 8-2 in their last 10. And then behind them, there's a tiny gap, like a 2-game gap between the Raptors and the Cavs. The Raptors sit at 33-23. 6-4 in their last 10, though. And then the 76ers, they have lost their last 4. They're 5-5 in their last 10, sitting just in that playoff spot, tied with the Miami Heat in that top of the play-in spot. And then you have the Orlando Magic. They sit at 8th. The Hawks, the Hawks are on a little bit of a downswing, 4-6 in their last 10. The Charlotte Hornets went on that big win streak. They have lost 2 straight, but they're still 7-3 in their last 10 and a lot of pieces to work with. And, I mean, it's kind of funny. The Bulls have fallen out of that play-in race where they're usually always fighting for. They're always somehow. It's the Bulls, the Heat, the Hawks every single time with the play-in. It's the same teams. And then the Magic they were in a playoff spot last year. Does not track that they'll be there, but you never know. I mean, you see the 76ers on this little bit of a down skid. That's a chance to find an opening, and I'm sure teams will have cold stretches to continue throughout this season. But when you speak of a cold stretch, I don't think there's anyone in the league colder than the Bulls. Oh, no, there is. Well, yeah, okay. Well, colder relative to what they could do. I'd say the Bulls. They have lost 8 straight games. They are 1-9 in their last 10 when they need to be fighting for that play-in spot. That's like the thing they do every year is be in that play-in spot. And right now they sit about 2 games out of that position because of the Hornets. And, I mean, it's not the greatest teams in the running for the Eastern Conference play-in, if I'm being completely honest. I think it'd be fun to see the Hornets. I'd like to see more of them. They have some nice young pieces to work with, led by LaMelo Ball, but you also have guys like, you have a guy like Con Knipple, who's been one of the best rookies this year, and has helped this team really find their identity and help them get on that hot streak. But you look behind them, the Bucks, the Bulls, the Wizards, like, I think they have a fair chance at making it. There's also a fair chance that they fall off because they had such a hot run. There's a chance they just have a massive drop. But we'll take a quick look at the Western Conference because it's not as exciting in terms of movement. It's pretty much solidified in certain spots where people will be. The Thunder sit at the top, but it's a little bit closer than before. The Thunder sit only 3 games above the Spurs, so a chance for the Spurs to get up there, but that is because the Spurs are on an 8-game win streak, and they are 9-1 in their last 10. Oklahoma City is 6-4 in their last 10. And you'd figure the Thunder on just overall will pace better than the Spurs. The Nuggets sit 4 games behind that run, and it's like 1 game separating the Nuggets, Rockets, Lakers, and Timberwolves. They'll be fighting all season. You have the Suns 2 games out of that playoff spot. Then you have the Warriors about 2 to 3.5 games behind that run. The Clippers and the Trailblazers and the Grizzlies are far out. They're 5 games back of that play-in spot. So those positions are looking mostly solidified. But we do have to end it here. Thank you for listening to your journey across the sports world. We'll be back Sunday at 5 p.m. Stay tuned for more of the biggest hits and best variety on the Princeton Review's number 18 ranked best college radio station, 3-time 2026 IBS Media Award winner, and 5-time NAB Marconi Radio Award nominee for College Radio Station of the Year, 107.7 The Bronx.